Hello guys and welcome to Odds on Europa League. We are gonna analyze the 10 best games in this second match day of the Europa League with Daniele Fisichella, of course. How are you, Dani?
Ciao Edu, very well. First game day in Europa League, really good. As I said previously, this is a same competition but new because there are less teams, so it's more competitive. We saw a lot of goals, we saw really tight games, and there are even more interesting games in this game day.
Yes, and some surprises, of course, as always. Guys, leave a comment in the video, ask any question to Dani. Of course, tell us your predictions, and don't forget to support us if you enjoy our videos. Click on the like, subscribe to our channel, and click on the bell to get notifications. So, Dani, let's not waste any time, and let's start with the Group A. The most interesting game here is Lyon Brondby. We saw a very good version of Olympique Lyon when they played against Glasgow Rangers. They won 2-0 away. In the French competitions also, they are improved, although they drew in the weekend against Lyon because they were down to 10 men basically the whole game, whereas Brondby, Dani, is struggling even in the Danish competition. They won in the weekend, but we can say, of course, that they are not in good form. This is a team that lost in the preview of the Champions League, as we analyzed during the summer. So, of course, Dani, Lyon is super favorite. I guess we only can expect a home victory here.
I think because Lyon, maybe they have turned the corner of the season. They are under new manager, under Peter Bosz. And, I think he's got the side working more as a collective, pressing high up the pitch, playing aggressively. This is a side that last year was relying a lot on individuals, especially Memphis Depay. So they need to change the way they play. But, a couple of weeks ago, they lost to PSG in the very last minute, playing with 10 men, and they show PSG that they can really put up a fight. Maybe not a fight for the title, but they are organized, and it was difficult to beat them in the end. Also, they were without the main goal scorer, Dembélé. They are still without Léo Dubois, which is a France international. So once Bosz gets back all his key players, things should start improving for a team that has also bought a lot of experience in the transfer market. Palmieri, Shaqiri, Boateng, they go Orwar from previous seasons, Paquetá. So I think for this one, they're obviously favorites. They play a Brondby that has started the season very badly. They already lost 3 games, conceded 14 goals domestically, only 2 clean sheets. By the way, one was the disappointing 0-0 at home against Sparta Praga on game day 1. I can see Lyon favorites. The odds for Lyon to win are too low, but for Lyon to win 2-0, they're decent, 1.95.
Okay, Harry, don't be bad. Arsenal and Tottenham, they are not playing Europa League this season, but Tottenham, they are playing in Europe, in the other competition, in the Conference League. Then the most interesting game in Group B that we are going to analyze is Real Sociedad Monaco, because Real Sociedad, they are second in Spanish La Liga. They beat Elche 1-0 with Oyarzabal scoring. They got a draw in the first game in a very difficult pitch, in a very difficult stadium, like the Philips Stadium in Eindhoven, 2-2, Dani. That's why the odds are favorite for Real Sociedad, still high though, 2.46, but be careful because Monaco, they are improving. I don't know if they are turning the corner, Dani, but for sure they look way better than at the beginning of the season.
The game of the round for me, the one to watch, definitely. Real Sociedad unbeaten in 7 games since the defeat in the first game against Barcelona. The 2-2 at PSV was really entertaining for a team that's got players such Isaac, Oyarzabal, Januzaj, we saw him again. But the most important thing for this Real Sociedad is that they're doing what they're doing without a lot of players. They got a lot of injuries players, and Imanol Alguacil, the manager, so far has played 21 players. Basically, all the players have been on the pitch apart from the injured one. So very strong collectives. And for this one, please check the lineups before putting your bet, because David Silva probably won't be playing. Isaac is doubtful. Sorloth might not be playing. So they're going to be a little bit short, perhaps, in the attack department. But nonetheless, they've proven already they can do it with the big squad and some of the young players. I think last year they were one of the best La Liga defenses. So if they score more goals, thanks to more international experience, they can be dangerous in this competition going forward. Monaco, maybe they've turned the corner. I think Lyon are a little bit ahead on the corner. They are just a little bit behind, but they're not that bad, because they start scoring more goals, which was the problem at the beginning of the season. Also in the knockout games of the Champions League, Ben Yedder scored 4 in the last 3. That's more like him. Golovin is scoring as well, providing assist. Folland is back on the score sheet. That's the Monaco we saw really last season under Niko Kovac, and they got the first back-to-back wins in Ligue 1, in the Europa League. 1-0 they edged past Sturm Graz. I was expecting them to be a little bit better, but it's still a sign of progresses. I think Niko Kovac, what has done, he has settled for a formation, a back 4. He was switching a lot between back 3 and back 4 at the beginning. Now he's a back 4. They look a little bit more solid. As I said, Golovin is back from his injury. Tchouameni is still a very important figure and presence in the midfield. I'm sure things are going to improve, but the Basque are not going to lose this one at home. I think I'm going to be cautious. Asia handicap 0 for Real Sociedad, 181.
All right, in this group, we also have Sturm Graz, PSV, but let's move on to Group C. Here we have Napoli, Spartak Moscow. What to say about the leader of the Serie A, Napoli? They are on fire, absolutely. They beat Cagliari, now 6 straight victories in Serie A. Also in the Europa League, they got an important point against Leicester City. Osimhen is scoring both in the domestic competition and also in Europe. And Dani, they are heavy favorites because one of the biggest surprises of the first match day was the defeat at home for Spartak Moscow. They lost against Legia, and they are not also good in the Russian Premier League. They are 8th. They won at the weekend, but before they lost actually 3 games in the last 5 games. Again, a team that is not informed, visiting the Diego Armando Maradona, not a good place.
What a place to go, especially when your odds for winning are 13, very, very high. Napoli in great form, probably one of the most informed teams in Europe at the moment, and they're in very good form domestically. They won 9 of the last 11 in all competition if we look back at last season. In the last 7 days, Napoli won 10-0. They scored 4 against Udinese, 4 against Sampdoria, 2 against Cagliari. No shots on target for Cagliari. It was a dominant performance. Spalletti, the new manager, is making them play easy, essential sometimes, but very direct. And teams opposition don't know whether to press them high. They're going to get cut open by the quickness of players like Osimhen or Lozano, or to wait, but then Napoli can suffocate you with their pressing. I think perhaps Napoli might have a little bit of issues coming January with the Africa Cup of Nations, when they're going to lose Koulibaly, Zambo Anguissa, who, by the way, he's probably the best midfielder in Italy at the moment. What a buy from, actually, he's a loan from Fulham, and Osimhen. So in January, there might be issue for Napoli. We're going to see how deep, how strong is the Napoli squad. But for this one, they look very, very favorite. Also because Spartak only won 2 of the last 19 away games. They were well beaten by Benfica in the knockout stages of the preliminary rounds of the Champions League, 4-0 in aggregate. They're 8th in the table. They don't score much, but they haven't got a bad attack. Quincy Promes, Ezequiel Ponce, Victor Moses, Shobolev, who plays for the Russian team. So a little bit of both, a mix of experience, youth, but I think it is an interesting team. But, last year they finished second behind Zenit, but there is a little bit of a caveat. Last year they were only playing in the Russian league because the previous season they finished 7th. So now they're playing the 2 competitions and they're struggling. So maybe the team is not as deep as we thought it was going to be. Last year, they only kept 6 clean sheets in the whole season. Nonetheless, they managed to finish second. They might nick a goal, maybe, but Napoli, they're informed, they're going to score. Scoring both halves for Napoli, 185.
Cahuenga is telling us Napoli halftime and full time. That's another option if you want odds to be a bit higher, because we don't take these low odds for Napoli, that's for sure. And a tricky game is the next one, a tricky for Leicester City, because they travel to Warsaw. Legia, Leicester City. Leicester, they are not informed this season. They drew in the Premier League against Burnley. They drew in the first game against Napoli. And since Legia won at Moscow, be careful if they lose this game, because the qualification for the knockout stages of the Europa League might be in risk. But the truth, Danny, is that no one could see Legia winning in Moscow because also they are so poor in the Polish competition. Usually, it's a team that they don't perform really good in Europe, but Warsaw is always a hot place when we are talking about stadiums, of course.
Careful with this one, because yes, the odds are very low for Leicester, but this could be a trap, I think, because they're going to play the champions of Poland. So, okay, it's a team that is being disappointing so far domestically, but this is a team that is used to win, and this is a team that is used to win, especially at home. Not in great form. They only scored 9 goals so far in the league, but things might improve. Look at the key man that helped Legia Warsaw to win the title last year, Thomas Perkart. He used to play for Spurs. I mean, I forgive you if you don't remember him. He scored 23 goals last season. So far, only 1 goal. The best player so far has been the new signing from Azerbaijan, Ermeli. He scored 3. But they have got goal scorers in there. They got also a bit of experience. You might be happy to see again Artur Boruk in goal. 29 appearances last year. He's 41. He played in the Europa League against Spartak. European pedigree. Because they've been knocked out by Dinamo Zagreb in the Champions League. Dinamo Zagreb then didn't make it to the Champions League, but in the Europa League playoff, they beat Slavia Prague, and we know that Slavia Prague is a quite handy team, and I would have said Slavia Prague were favorite against Legia, and they beat them. So be careful, because again, they could turn this around. I'm not totally convinced Leicester is going to walk it. However, Leicester, 5 goals in 6 league games for Vardy this season. He scored 2 at the weekend, even scored an own goal. So he's the man of the moment. But they have a mixed start of this campaign. They are 12 in the table. They only got 7 points from 18, so they're not being great domestically. However, against Burnley, they did dominate the game. They had 22 shots on target. Yuri Tielemans was excellent in midfield. Against Napoli, they were 2-0 up, but I think the problem with that game is that Rodgers made quite a lot of changes, and I think Leicester supporters would want to see more of the key players like Tielemans, players like Maddison be involved, maybe not from the first minute, but surely be involved early where the game was shifting towards Napoli. The good news for Leicester, they scored 2 goals in each on 5 of the last 6 games. So this is a team obviously that can score, but they're going to play away in a tricky place, both to score, 196.
Red Room is telling us a tight game. Well, probably. Possibly, as Danny is analyzing, and possibly even Jamie Vardy will rest because he has already an age and he cannot play Thursdays and Sundays. Then let's move on to the next group, Group D. We have 2 teams, Fenerbahce and Olympiacos, that we are used to see them playing in the Champions League. And actually, both are top of their leagues, Greek and Turkish. We all know that these 2 countries, they are not precisely friends. So for sure, there will be a good atmosphere in Istanbul to see this game. Fenerbahce, they drew against Eintracht Frankfurt. And our also Mesut Özil. You wonder, where is Mesut Özil right now? He's playing for Fenerbahce, in case you don't know. And Olympiacos, Danny, a team that dropped also from the Champions League preview. We didn't see that coming against Ludogorets. They are cruising in the Greek league. What do you expect here? This is a good one, actually.
This is a tough one to call. This is a one that maybe if you bet half a unit, a third of a unit, either way, on the full-time result, you can get good money, and the odds are very good. It's a difficult one to predict because we know the Fenerbahce are usually strong at home, at least in Europe. Unbeaten in the last 12 home games in the Europa League. They won 9 of 12 in the Europa League. In the last 4 games at home in Europe, they kept a clean sheet. And, however, their defense, especially domestically, it's not great. They conceded 6 in the last 7 games. But I think Fenerbahce is targeting this Europa League. By the way, they play definitely the strongest side are Leverkusen. So they're going to go with all the best players for this one. They're not going to rest players. Olympiacos, a bit of a mixed bag because they haven't lost any of the last 3 away games in the Europa League. Last year, they won at Arsenal, although they get knocked out. The previous year, year they won at Arsenal again, knocking out the Gunners. And also last year they narrowly lost at PSV and they made it through to the round of 16 in the Europa League. So again, it's a team that is used to playing the Champions League. They got the European experience. They got experienced players in their side. So that could be either way. I'm gonna go for the over market in this case. I'm gonna go for the goals market over 2.5 goals. That pays 2, doubles your money.
It's good. Red Room is telling us go for cards, go for yellow cards.
Could be.
Could be a very hot game for sure. The supporters don't like each other, so it's good. We are not gonna talk about the other game in this group, Royal Antwerp, Eintracht Frankfurt. So we move to the group E, and here we have Lazio, Lokomotiv Moscow, and this could be a very interesting group because Lazio, they lost in the first game 1-0 against Galatasaray. Also, we didn't see that coming, and they were in a bad form, Danny, until they won the derby. Immobile, Pedro scored to his former team, so now they are happy, I'm sure about that, and Lokomotiv, they are third in the Russian Premier League. They drew against Marseille. So again, Lazio and Marseille, who were favorites for this group, they can struggle here. Lazio, very, very favorite, of course. We can expect them to win, no, after winning the derby.
What a big statement on the derby for Lazio. They played perfectly. Perfect game plan from Lazio. They wait for Roma. They hit them on the counter. Where is Sarri ball? Where Sarri ball doesn't exist anymore. Forget about it. Sarri now adapts also to his players. Understood with the players he's got and the situation he has, it's better to ditch his style of play of short passes, quick interchanges, playing a little bit more direct, try to play some balls over the top, make the most of Immobile. Immobile was amazing, and they beat Roma, I think, with a little bit of luck in the end, but it was a great game. I don't think Lazio were favorites at the beginning, so a big statement from there. That shows that sometimes when they are in need, they can revert to the old hard-to-beat Lazio with a lot of runners, with a lot of pace as well, and try to caught you off guard, especially if the defense plays a very high line. Is unbeaten in the last 3, Lazio, by the way, although they haven't played particularly well domestically. Now, let's see if Sarri makes a bit of turnover for this one, because now games come thick and fast. Lazio needs to make up ground in the Serie A, and when he played at Galatasaray, he didn't make many changes, and I think they paid it in the following game in Serie A, which, by the way, they lost. 15 goals scored for Lazio, so they are the first best attack in Serie A, but no clean sheet so far. They leak goals. They conceded 2 at the weekend. They already conceded 10 in their season. Lokomotiv Moscow, a little bit the opposite, because 3 clean sheets in the last 4, but they only scored 3 goals in the last 4, so they don't concede many. They don't score many. The last 2 games for Lokomotiv were 0-0. Against Marseille, I think they were perhaps lucky to hang on to a 1-1. They only had 26 possession. They were dominated by Sampaoli's team. They were with 10 men. They put it 1-1. But again, Lokomotiv Moscow, like most of the Russian teams in Europe, they are struggling. They are not quite there. It's the level of Russian football. It's been in decline for the last couple of years. They have interesting players such as Molov, plays for the national team. If he plays, could be dangerous. They are unbeaten, though, this season. I mean, it's a team that hasn't started very well this season, but they never lost. Again, the lack of goals could be a problem. Only scored 12 in 10 games, and as I said, 3 in the last 4. But for this one, things might be a bit different, also because I think Lazio is going to make some changes. Let's go for the goals market again. In the second half, over 1.5 goals, that pays 205.
David is telling us that Sarri will bully Lokomotiv. Well, Lazio need the victory, so do Olympique Marseille in this group. They are facing Galatasaray, and things have changed a little bit in the south of France because when we talked, Danny, a couple of weeks ago, we made them really favorites. Sampaoli's men, they were playing good in the League A, but recently they lost at the weekend 2-3 at home against Lens after a goalless draw against Angers. So only 1 victory in the last 4 games For Olympique Marseille, we knew that they drew also in the first game against Lokomotiv Moscow, and this Europa League, Danny, sometimes it's so difficult to predict because Galatasaray, they are so bad in the Turkish league. They are 10th. They won at the weekend, but they were winless in the previous 4. And we just said they were able to beat Lazio in the first game.
It's going to be another one difficult to predict because, yes, Marseille have been so good in the league so far and in the season in general. They scored 14 goals in 8 games. They play much more of a positive football under Sampaoli. Sometimes they lack a little bit of luck. They had many chances against Lens and they ended up being defeated. But, I think it's a team that's got talent up front. And with Sampaoli, they are getting there. I think it's one of those teams that we'll see improve as the season progresses. Galatasaray probably didn't deserve to beat Lazio, although Lazio were very negative in terms of mindset in the game in Turkey, but they were helped by a massive mistake by Muslera. Galatasaray have won 4 games in a row, so they come into this game full of confidence. They kept 3 clean sheets in the last 4 games. They haven't got great stars in their teams, but they have probably the biggest star is on the bench is Fatih Terim, the journeyman, the great coach all over Europe. And I think with Terim, he might set them up to settle for a point. So he might make them hard to beat, difficult to, with very low blocks, difficult to go through to break the lines. So I think Fatih Terim could be the factor here. It's very fascinating, Terim against Sampaoli, 2 different style. By the way, they haven't won just one of the last 19 away games in Europe. So going for a Galatasaray win could be an issue. But go for an under 2.5 goal. Let's see if la vecchia volpe, the old fox, Terim, outfox Sampaoli. Under 2.5 goals, 208.
Terim, we just need Hakan Sukur, Hassan Saz, Mario Jardel, for instance. What a team, that one, that even were champions of the UEFA, if I am not wrong.
Arsenal.
Yeah, and they play actually the European Super Cup against Real Madrid. I remember that game. Then let's move to Group G here. Good group, this one. Celtic, Bayer Leverkusen, the first game. You were almost right, Danny. I remember you saying Celtic is going to surprise Betis. Well, they were 2-0 up, and at the end, Betis turned around the game. They won 4-3, so a defeat for Celtic, which are terrible, actually, in the Scottish Premier League. They are 6th only with 10 points, and Leverkusen, a team that I pretty much like. They are in very good form, 2nd in the Bundesliga. They beat Mainz 1-0, 3 consecutive victories for them, only 1 defeat this season against Borussia Dortmund, so everything positive for them. That's why the odds are lower for the away team here. Odds 2.0 or 2.21 right now, actually, for Leverkusen to win.
Celtic under the new manager, the Australian Ange Postecoglou, have got the worst start of the league in 23 years. The manager still thinks they can win the title, but they need to hurry up because Rangers are not in a great shape either, but they're collecting definitely more points and more wins. I think the problem with the game at Betis is that they started very well, but in the end they were a makeshift team because they got a lot of absentees and they lack very young team as well. They lack the leadership of some players, senior players like Callum McGregor, their Japanese scorer Furuhashi. So in the end, Betis played better, dominated possession in the second half of the game and won the game. I'm not quite convinced by how good, how strong is Celtic team, especially when the key players are missing. Ayeti up front, not yet convincing at the weekend. But it is a game. It is a team that goes for it, especially when he plays at home and can score goals. They are very enterprising in attacking. They create chances, but they got defensive vulnerabilities, and I saw them early in the summer against Midtjylland. Lot of chances, wasted chances, and then they concede sloppy goals at the back. Not a great European record for Celtic. Lost 10 of the last 17 European games, so be careful by backing the home side. Leverkusen kept the second clean sheet of the season at the weekend. They are the third best attack in Bundesliga with 16 goals scored. And this is an improvement because last season they weren't scoring many goals. And the good news for Leverkusen is a lot of players got into the score sheet, up to 8 players in the score sheet. Obviously, Wirtz and Schick are leading the line in this case. I noticed most of the Leverkusen goal come in the second half. So they start the games a little bit slowly, but they are a fit team. They are a young team that can hurt you, especially as the games goes on. If Celtic has a bad European record, Leverkusen has a very good European record. They won 5 of the last 7 away European games, and they won from behind against Ferencvarosi. The Germans are favorites for this one, as you can see on the odds. You could go them for them to win. I think it's a decent odd, very good, maybe for the Euro market. I was looking also at the first half. Leverkusen to win the first half is a little bit higher, 250.
Lots of goals, Harry is telling us. We also expect that, and so do the bookies. Over 3 goals only pays 2.17. In case you wanna back that, because we expect goals at Celtic Park or both teams to score 1.71. Another options for you in this game. Then in this group also we have Ferencvarosi. Betis, they started the season very slowly, but Pellegrini's men are getting better and better. They beat Getafe 2-0 before they were able also to win at Pamplona against Osasuna. Very good news is that William José is scoring. That was a striker that I pretty much like, but he disappeared for 1 year. Now he is back. But Danny, Budapest is never easy. We always say that when we are analyzing Ferencvarosi. And also what we like about Ferencvarosi is that they attack a lot. So maybe also we see plenty of goals in this game.
Is this a team that seems always to concede a couple of goals? They do attack, they go for it, but against stronger teams, the problem with Ferencvarosi, we saw also last year in the Champions League, they cannot hold on to leads very well. Or maybe they score and they concede a goal maybe 10 or 15 minutes after. They're a quite naive side. For example, against Leverkusen, they were ahead, they lost. Against Young Boys in the Champions League knockout, they were ahead, then they lost. So it is a team that struggles to dominate the game for longer spells. They are in a patchy start in the league. They're not dominating the league either as they used to be. And they play a Betis team that seems really fired up. You mentioned some of the players, but also let's not forget that Nabil Fekir. He's one of the top players at the moment for chances created in the 5 main leagues in Europe. The weekend, they got the first home win in La Liga. They were not winning so far at the Benito Villamarin. They did. They are unbeaten in 5. They only lost to Real Madrid this season, a game that they didn't deserve to lose. Real Madrid won it marginally with a goal from Carvajal. So, again, William José scoring. I think they got a lot of experience there. They are managed by very important manager like the engineer Pellegrini. So I think it's important for Betis to continue to progress in Europe. The experience we saw paid off against Celtic. I'm going to go for an Asian handicap with this one. Betis Asian handicap 1, 219.
There is a lot of hope in Seville with Betis doing well in the Europa League, playing in Europe again, and they have a good squad actually. And our last game, of course, we cannot forget about Tom Rennie and his West Ham. West Ham playing at home against Rapid Wien because the Hammers are again looking very good this season. They beat Leeds on the road in the Premier League. Michael Antonio is scoring no matter in which competition we are talking about. They kicked out Man United of the League Cup. They put a fight also against Man United in the Premier League. They won against Dinamo Zagreb in the Europa League, Danny, and they are playing a terrible team like Rapid Wien. They are horrible in the Austrian Bundesliga. Only 8 points. They lost 3-0 at home against Sturm Graz. Asian handicap minus what?
That's the question for a very informed team against a very poor one at the moment. Rapid Vienna, they played 18 games this season. They've lost 8. So, they are in a bad spell. Lost with Genk 1-0 in the previous round of the Europa League. They were second best, outplayed by Genk in all the department. They've lost 4 of the last 5. They only scored 2 goals in the last 4. So these are all stats that tell you that West Ham should have an easy life. And they are penultimate in the table. They might go down. I don't think they will, but imagine if they go down in the Austrian League. And this is a team that last year finished second. They were well beaten also previously 2-0 by Red Bull Salzburg. So what's happening to them? They're not scoring enough. That's the problem. They're not creating quality chances. Their top scorer last year was Erkan Kara, scored 20. So far, only 5 goals. West Ham, instead, they seem a team that got a lot of grit, a lot of determination. Even if they go behind, even if they concede the first goal, they get back into the games, and they did it again at the weekend. They won each of the last 3 Premier League games when they've gone behind, all away from home, so even in more difficult circumstances. High-scoring team, helped by the fact that Antonio is back. They scored so far 16, only kept 1 clean sheet. Okay, doesn't matter when you score so many goals after all. They won 3 of the last 4. I'm sure they will make turnover. They're going to change a lot of players, as they did in the game to Zagreb, but that should not be a problem for your bet, because they also made a lot of turnover when they played Man United away in the Carabao Cup, and they won. They won with the second team. They showed a lot of strength. Yes, Asian handicap is a possibility. I don't think the odds are particularly interesting, but a half-time, full-time West Ham is good, 185.
Okay, Danny, thank you. Cahuenga is asking us for Braga and Midtjylland, Red Room for Sturm PSV. Well, we had to choose 10 games to analyze. Here they are, all the predictions for all these 10 games. Otherwise, it would be too long for everyone. Thank you, Danny. Let's see your ACCA, because we can still make an ACCA, of course.
Okay, 5 games as always. So Lyon to win, Real Sociedad Monaco, both team to score, Lazio to win at home, Ferencvarosi and Betis over 2.5 goals, and West Ham to be winning the first half. The total odds just short of 10, 9.99. Let's get this one. Come on.
Let's get this one. You put 10 euros and you get almost 100. Thank you, Danny. Thanks everyone, of course, for watching, for commenting. As always, you can still leave a comment and tell us your predictions. And don't forget, click on the like and subscribe to our channel. Danny, see you very soon, and let's enjoy this European week.
Okay, enjoy everything. Champions League, Europa League, all the football. Enjoy soon. Bye-bye.